the definition of food, it's something that sustains life, packed full of nutrients. The food doesn't have nutrition in it. It's not a food.
Yeah.
Most of what the bodybuilding world is eating is not food.
Yes, guys, welcome back to episode 5 of the Ultimate Fitness Podcast. It's been a while again.
Been a while.
So today we've got a special guest. I'm going to let him introduce himself, but he's been a member of the gym since we've opened and long-standing friend of mine who I've been on battle on and off stage, and his knowledge of nutrition, diet, etc. is sort of world class. So I'm going to let him sort of take the reins today, and we'll ask him a few questions. So Dean, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello there. I'm Dean Lesiak. Retired now from bodybuilding 6-7 years ago.
Happily retired.
You can see in his eyes, he's glowing right now.
So Dean, let's talk about your transition then from competitive bodybuilder 7 years ago to where you are now. What have you done differently? Are you eating differently? Has your mindset changed in how you eat for now than you were before?
Yeah, massively. So one of the main factors...
First of all, tell the viewers why eating like a bodybuilder is bad for you.
We got five hours on this today.
Try and condense it.
Okay, so what I call a bodybuilder's diet is extremely rich and dense in nutrition.
We're talking like off season, aren't we?
Yeah. Yeah. So I would always eat the same foods on season to off season, but obviously a lot less of it when I'm dieting. The carbs would get reduced down. When I was dieting hard and for comp, it was all about getting my macros, proteins. Wasn't so bothered about fats, tons of carbs. Had to get big. All I focused on was growing muscle. Not having any idea back then of the negative effects this could have on my health long term. So one of the main factors one of the big problems in the Western world of today is diabetes, obesity, huge in the Western world. Why is that? Because so many ultra-processed foods, it's so easily available, people are snacking. Even if they only have 3 meals, they probably snack 2-3 times a day. So you're eating so frequently, probably 6 times a day. Every time you eat, you're spiking blood sugars. All of this is putting stress onto your whole system. Every time you eat, it's stress on your digestive system. Whenever you eat carbs, especially simple carbs and sugars, it's massively spiking insulin. So your blood sugars go up, your insulin has to work. So you're putting stress on your pancreas, put stress on your liver, your kidney, your gallbladder. Any problem with any of those 4, you've got some serious problems. We could do a whole podcast on any one of those. But basically, all of these will get affected long-term by pushing carbs. So what's the difference between sugar and starch? We were talking about this.
Yeah, we spoke about it, so I'm going to let him lead.
So sugar is basically one molecule of glycogen. Starch is many molecules of glycogen attached together. The same molecule, it's either one or many. So say the sugar, you eat that, the one glycogen molecule goes straight into your system, into your blood, very fast. Then your body has to release insulin to pick it up, take it to its destination, which could either be stored in muscle as glycogen or converted and stored as fat as the energy. Now, the more receptors you have in whichever department is where it's more likely to go. So a really fat person with not much muscle would have a lot of receptors in the fat, very few in the muscle. So if he eats too many carbs, they're more likely to all be pushed towards fat. A bodybuilder with a lot of muscle and very low fat has so many receptors in the muscle, hardly any fat. Obviously, the carbs are going to be shuttled into the muscle. Well, every time you get these blood spikes, it's putting a lot of stress onto your digestive system and obviously your pancreas, liver, kidney, gallbladder. So the more you do this, the more frequently you do it over time, can stress. It's like a machine. When you overwork a machine, it's more likely to break down. Components are going to get wear and tear and break down. So going back to the carbs, the sugar strains your system. The starch has to be broken down before it can get into the bloodstream. So the many molecules attached together slowly start to get broken down, trickling into the system. So if we had 100 grams of sugar, that would get dumped straight into your bloodstream. Your pancreas is working overtime to produce all this insulin. So your blood sugars go up. Insulin comes in, crashes down. When your blood sugars crash down, your body releases hunger hormone called ghrelin, and that will make you go for more sugar. Because you feel, got no energy, I feel like crap, I need to eat again, get my blood sugars up. The worst thing you can do is eat more sugar, because now you're getting this up, down, up, down. 100 grams of sugar dumped in. If you had 100 grams of starch, very slow releasing glycogen, more complex the carb, the longer it takes to break down, more molecules. So 100 grams of sugar is very fast. 100 grams of starch will trickle into the blood very slowly.
So it wouldn't overload it, right?
Exactly. So as it's coming in, you're releasing small amounts of insulin, picking it up. So now your blood sugars is this nice wave.
It's not going to be straight, but it's weighed out a little bit. It's balanced out.
The studies are shown for longevity and health. The more stable your blood sugars are over long periods of time, the longer you live.
Yeah.
The more this massive stress, the more things will break down, the more you create diseases like diabetes. So it makes sense. The more complex the carb, the less stress on your system.
Yep.
But so for health, it would be ideal to not have any carbs. You don't need carbs for health. People say energy. Your body makes glycogen in its liver. Any glycogen your body needs, it can make. You need protein, you need fat, you need fibers, you need vitamins, minerals, you need nutrients. You do not need carbs. For an athlete who is doing anything explosive power, powerlifting, bodybuilding, fighting, all that glycogen stored in the muscle is going to help to that level of athlete. So then it's very useful to eat carbohydrates and store lots of glycogen in the muscle, especially bodybuilding, because you need the muscle to be full of glycogen and water to make the muscle look big. It's very important to have that. But the more you eat and the more often you eat, the more stress on your system. Bodybuilding requires you to eat huge amounts of food every 2 to 3 hours. So your body is very resilient. It's amazing. If you fill it full of shit, you poison it for a whole day, you're going to feel like crap. A day or two later, it's dealt with it, you're fine. Yeah. You do that every single day over 30, 40, 50 years.
You're going to break down.
You're creating some massive problems. You become insulin sensitive. So you basically, before you become diabetic, if you've abused the whole system, the amount of carbs over long periods of time, then your receptors that the insulin picking up all the glycogen start to dumb down and not work so much because they're being overused. So now the insulin's released and half of the insulin is not picking up. So now you got too much insulin in the blood and sugars. So it releases more insulin to combat that, but now there's still leftover insulin in the blood.
This is why diabetics have to use exogenous insulin, because they're not producing a sufficient amount themselves, so they can't help facilitate.
So a type 1 would be very different to a type 2. Yeah. Type 1 doesn't, their pancreas is not working properly, they're not producing insulin. Type 2, you've created that problem over time, and it usually starts with insulin sensitivity. So before you become diabetic, they don't test for this, unfortunately. They would check your blood sugars, but they won't test to see how much insulin is in the blood.
Yeah.
So when you're pre-diabetic, you will have insulin sensitivity. So it's not working properly. If you get too much, it's going to create lots of problems. So now, if your pancreas is under stress, blood sugars are high, it's also putting a lot of stress on your kidney.
Yes.
That goes hand in hand with your liver and your gallbladder. A lot of people have digestive problems, especially through bodybuilding as they get older, usually created through these problems. What does your gallbladder do? Gallbladders touch the liver. Your liver produces bile. Your bile is what breaks down fats. The gallbladder stores the bile. So the liver produces it and it stores it. So anyone who has a problem with a gallbladder and an operation, have it removed. Doctors will say, it's fine. You don't need that. You can live without it. You can survive without a gallbladder, but it's there for a good reason.
I was going to say every organ should be there for a reason.
You don't, yeah. Take your kidney out. You don't need it. You got another.
Yeah.
Let me sell that one. Do you know what I mean? It's
there for a reason. It should be taking your organs out.
I mean, if it was a last resort, you got really infected, it's going to kill you, or you remove it. It could save your life. Well, you know now life's never going to be the same. No. There for a good reason. Okay. So don't let it get to that stage in the first place. So the liver produces bile. The gallbladder stores the bile. So now you eat a big fatty meal. Mm-hmm. You need the bile to start the process of breaking that fats down. So the liver produces enzymes and the pancreas. So you got protease, amylase, lipase. Mm-hmm. Lipase is an enzyme that breaks down fats. So if there's not enough bile, you know, your liver's producing more and more of this. It's working overtime to try and break down the fat. You can't break it down properly. So now, you know, about vitamins, you're getting fat-soluble vitamins. And the way to remember which ones are fat-soluble is ADEK. A-D-E-K. So those are 4 really important minerals. I mean, D is not a vitamin. It's more like a hormone which does so many functions. You need it in your body. Mm-hmm. It's fat-soluble, which means it's in the fatty foods. And to get it, you have to break down the fats. You need this bile to break down. If you're not producing enough bile, you're not breaking them down, you're going to become deficient in these fat-soluble vitamins. So it's really important to have a gallbladder that's going to cause deficiencies and spiral off to cause many other problems. Not to even mention the stress on the liver and the kidney. Once they're gone, that's it.
Because other organs will have to kind of compensate for the things that it's losing, right?
Of course. So if you see it's Henry Ford, wasn't it, who invented the conveyor belt line in the workforce. Amazing invention. Think of your body like that. So it's a big conveyor belt. It goes down. Every organ, every function has its own job.
Yeah.
If one of those people on the line, we're assembling something, it goes to Simon, it goes to Joe, it goes to you. If Simon doesn't do his job properly, it comes to you. Now you've got to do his job and your job. If you don't do that, now you've got the load. You can't physically keep up.
No.
So the things are not getting broken down properly.
This has a knock-on effect, doesn't it? Yep.
Massively. So every one of these functions has its own particular job. If one of them is off, putting stress somewhere else, which down the line is going to cause another massive problem. So when people jump to drugs to manage these problems, they are causing other effects which are going to mess you up in the future.
Yeah.
It's going to fix that problem for now, stabilize it, but create more. So instead of going to drugs, figure out what caused the problem, stop doing that, fix the problem.
They fix the symptoms, not the problem, right? That's what they focus on.
Exactly, yeah. So as in bodybuilding, obviously, you need to eat tons of food to grow muscle. We know long-term that's going to put massive stress on your health. Bodybuilding is not a long-term sport. It takes a long time to grow that muscle, but not many people
maintain it for those years, right? To keep eating, to stop eating, diet.
Progressively get bigger and bigger and bigger to a point like the big guys, 300-pound plus, have a very short life unless they massively come down.
That's why you don't see many sort of heavy bodybuilders in their late 40s and 50s, do you?
You don't see very many, except for fat individuals.
They come down, and if you look at their pictures before and after, you can see that they took that break and they needed it. You see their bodies.
Even non-bodybuilders, very, very rarely, you'll see a larger human who's 70 years old.
Yeah.
You very rarely see
too much stress.
100 kilos.
I think people now are more wiser. They're sort of, they're more concerned about fasting and getting that body weight down to live obviously a longer life because there's more information.
It's more camps in the extremes now. So there's more people that are very, very health conscious. There's more people that are obviously, this is the most amount of obese. This is the obesity crisis, what I call it. The middle ground is there's not that many people there anymore. You're either in the gym, health nut, whatnot, call it what you want, or you're
being the gym self-abuse, basically.
Yeah, or you're you're overweight, you're fat, and you don't really care because it's been glamorized by the media.
Yeah, because right
The average look is, I think, it's becoming less and less.
I think like in America, the average size right now is like size 16, I believe, 16 to 18,
Correct.
which is like a UK size 12, 14.
You only have to look at like the food portions in America.
Of course.
A normal plate is like twice the size of
To me, it was crazy because I watched this video on the people who are that size. They claim that, oh, I am the healthy size because I'm the average size.
Yeah.
Just
Average means healthy to them, which is such a...
If the average, though, if your border for average just keeps increasing,
Yeah.
What does that mean? It means
That means
it's
as a
got nothing to do
nation,
with health.
you are becoming unhealthier.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you're becoming healthier because you average yourself out.
Well, when I look at my social medias,
Yeah.
the percentages of men to women that follow me,
Yeah.
it's about 96 to 98 male
Yep.
to female. This is why. Because the way I explain things and the way I am,
It's
Yeah.
very blunt,
very,
unemotional.
I will go straight to the point.
Yep.
And if you don't like it, fuck off.
You're presenting information.
the white idiot boo, isn't he? Dude?
It's just presenting information that is based on facts, numbers,
Yeah.
data.
It's not
rather
really
than your own
considering...
opinion.
Yeah, it's
Personal
not-
experience as well.
Yeah.
It's not really considering individual feelings because that's not what the facts are about, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, well, like, I hate this. Exactly what you're saying now. It's being pushed all over media. Is like,
It's okay to...
you're not fat.
Yeah.
I'm curvy. What does curvy mean? No, you're not curvy. You're fucking obese.
Yeah.
For me,
And
what's
when
funny
it's-
is like, oh, I look like this when I'm posing. I'm like this when I'm not posing. Everyone's like that, darling. Everyone is like that. We know.
And a lot of what we call athletes now in the sport are morbidly obese off season. More so the women. It's like, oh, you only eat a lot of food to grow muscle. Well, again, we go back to what's the definition of food?
Bulking shouldn't lead to obesity, right? It should be bulking, but it should be done cautiously, I believe.
Yeah.
Not to a point where it leads to obesity for the next 2 years while you're cutting.
What's causing it? What's the definition of food? It's something that sustains life, packed full of nutrients. The food doesn't have nutrition in it. It's not a food.
Yeah.
Most of what the bodybuilding world is eating is not food.
You mentioned conversation earlier, cream of rice, I believe. Super processed, right?
So
But super processed does not always mean bad.
it does.
I disagree.
Cool on, man.
A whey isolate is one of the most processed supplements foods on the planet.
Is it healthy?
Yes,
No, far from it. It actually spikes your insulin levels.
of course, because you have lactose in there, even a tiny amount. Although if you're taking in a whey isolate product, not to the point where that's all you're consuming.
because I want to talk over.
It's not the only source of protein you're consuming, right? When someone comes to me, for example, you can ask Fausta, 90% of the nutrition comes from simple one ingredient whole foods.
Yeah.
Yeah. However, certain periods of the day, specifically around the workout, using the simplest form of any macronutrient will be the most beneficial due to blood sugar and insulin spike. This period of time around the workout.
The timing, isn't it?
Yeah. So I like to use a nutrient timing approach because going back to your point again, obviously bodybuilding and fuel and nutrition for performance and nutrition for health do not always cross over, right?
Far from it.
However, back to the isolate is broken down, potentially even pre-digested to one degree or one level, which it is. Why is it not healthy?
Let me get it out.
Go. I know you're buzzing and
That's
ready to go.
very good.
You always drop the sweat.
And, that's you should be sponsored by a company promoting whey isolate.
Yeah.
What? Where does whey isolate come from?
It'll come from obviously whey, casein, there's a
Where does
mixed
that come
dairy product for the most part.
Dairy
Yes.
product. Where does the dairy product?
Assuming a cow.
Yeah. We hope, which we know it's not going to be.
Yeah.
We hope that's a grass-fed
Yeah.
cow,
No hormones, nothing. Free to graze.
which you know it's not.
No. Chemical-free grass, ideally, yeah. No, but it's true. That's what we. That's what we want.
It's the ideal scenario.
Yeah.
So in an ideal scenario,
Yeah.
it's a perfectly healthy animal.
Yeah.
Eating just grass and stuff. So if you test the meat of that animal
Yep.
and its products that it produces, it's going to be packed really high, D3,
Mhm.
omega-3, omega-6. It's very important to have the ratio 1-to-1 from omega-3 to omega-6. Too much 6 will cause inflammation in the body. 3 will get it out. So when you get too much 6, you're going to get all kinds of problems. These cows are obviously hormone-induced. They are fed on grain.
Yeah, male.
Right. So the 6 ratio goes really high.
Yeah.
So already
that is a very unhealthy, inflamed animal.
And because it's not getting the proper foods it should be, the vitamin D will be very low.
Yep.
And all of the nutrition in that will be lower than a grass-fed.
Yep.
But let's pretend it's a grass-fed. It's extremely healthy.
Yep.
So that cow then produces milk. Is that milk healthy?
In the healthy cow still.
Yeah. Yeah. Packed full of nutrition.
Yep.
There's so many different nutrients in that milk.
Yep.
So when you process anything, if I got that raw milk, drank that's highly nutritious. Now I'm going to process it. I'm going to take away
Pasteurization, which means you heat the milk, destroy all of its bacteria, most of it. But with that, obviously, you destroy the good and the bad bacteria, fortunately.
lots of the nutrition's lost.
Then you kill all the amino acids as well.
Yeah.
All the protein.
Yeah. If it's heated above a certain temperature, which it will be because it's there to kill
Taking it right down to the milk, to cheeses. We're going to skim the whey off, and now we're going to process the whey even further. We're left with just whey, which is still very high in branched chain amino acids. It still has some nutrition in it. Now we're going to process it even more to make sure all of the lactose are out completely.
Yeah, it might be hydrolyzed as well.
To make it pure, to make it into the end product, which is pure.
Yeah.
There's no lactose. So anyone who suffers with lactose can drink whey isolate and they shouldn't get any problems. The way it's marketed, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Sounds great. It's just pure protein.
It's a very empty.
Processed that much.
Yeah.
There's hardly any nutrition left in it whatsoever.
Except for your full display of amino acids, which is that.
Or is it like having a protein, like an amino acid drink then, basically?
Pretty much, yeah.
So it spikes your insulin, so it's not healthy.
Because it doesn't have to be. There's nothing slowing down that process.
So let me go right back
Digestive process.
to what is a food.
Yes.
The definition of the food is something that sustains nutritional health, packed with nutrients.
Yep.
So when a food is packed with nutrients, the more nutritionally dense it is, the better that food is. The less it has, the worse that food is. It's not healthy. So you're going to go back now and retrain your statement to say that's a healthy food.
No, because
You just said it yourself. It's not healthy.
No. It's used in conjunction with another food, which may be a carbohydrate that isn't highly processed, because we're not just taking in protein and sugar during that pre or post workout.
What would you give them?
For example, we'd go for an organic oat.
And you think that's not processed?
Of course it is. However, I can't just give them
You got sweet potatoes or yams or
sweet potato, yam, but again, that's going to be highly processed as well in terms of pesticide processing.
No.
And yes, or if we can, then yes, but then you get into the debate of right, is organic just a bunch of bullshit?
Because organic can still be GMO.
Depends on your company. So if you see a big company as well have a field of organic and a field of normal.
Yeah.
And now spray the normal crops, not the organic, but the wind will blow half right over them. So you're still getting pesticides and some.
Yeah.
Unless you grow it yourself, you're never going to know.
Right. But
smaller companies, they will make sure their products are really clean, and they should be.
But
regulated.
Going back to it, I would give someone whose sole goal is muscle gain and recovery from a highly intensive workout a very, very highly processed food, such as, well, you say food, supplement, whatever you want to call it, of a whey isolate, due to the fact that it's going to give us that amount of amino acids at that time with minimal stress on the digestive system. You've just finished training, or you're training. You're either giving them amino acids or you're giving them a very highly processed protein supplement. Your blood sugars are already spiked, so whatever is present in the bloodstream is going to get stored into selective available tissue at the time, which is going to be 90% in the muscle, because the rest of the blood is just being pumped into the organs just to maintain human function of the body. So if you've already peaked blood sugars because you're training, whatever is present in the bloodstream is going straight into the muscle, right? So my idea is saturate the bloodstream during that time with the nutrition that it needs in order to be able to recover faster, which would be, shoot me down, Dean, which would be a very simple, pretty much glucose it will be an amino acid and it will be creatine in order to replenish both energy systems, which is glycolytic energy system and the ATP or, creatine, phosphocreatine system, as well as providing pre-digested, already broken down amino acids in order to begin replenishment of the tissue that we've just damaged from training. However, unless we're pushing to gain size where health even becomes less of a priority, simple sugars and highly processed forms of carbs that will spike your insulin will not be utilized throughout the majority of the rest of the day. Specifically, it is around, during, pre, and post workout. That would be it.
It was a very good answer. It was very scientific, bro sciencey, bullshitty, borderline.
You say it's no. You say it's bro science, but there are papers to prove it as well.
And yet, to grow muscle and look good, but not long term.
Yes.
Yeah.
On your system, what will that do?
Well, it's going to wreak havoc and promote inflammation.
And if it does that, and then you create problems in your gut, and you can no longer digest and break down these foods, then what knock-on effect does that have? Of
course.
You can't absorb the nutrition. So as the bodybuilder gets older, it becomes more and more of a problem. He gets gut issues, and it really messes his health up. So my alternative to that would be, is this off-season or on-season?
In prep.
In prep.
Yes.
You're dieting hard. So my alternative to that would be, every single food that you eat, especially more so when you're limited to how much food you can eat, is that it has to be nutritionally dense as possible. So why is that? Why isolate even in there when it's got hardly any nutrition left compared to the raw ingredient or something, salmon, eggs, steak, anything like that, that is packed with so much more nutrition, some liver, some oysters, shellfish, which has got all of the aminos you need, all the protein you need. It's got good fats in there. It's got all the nutrients,
vitamin, minerals, good fiber that you need.
But you're talking around timing after a workout
specifically.
Do you think that?
I believe in that massively.
Do you think that there is that you have to eat within like half an hour of workout?
No, I don't think you have to.
I've done both, on and off, and I've not really noticed any difference. I feel like it's just psychological.
What I have found with myself, with clients, with the research as well, is once you're on a competitive playing field, you're going to do. There is research to back it up. Obviously, anecdotally, I have seen a benefit. Less so from the carbohydrate standpoint, more so from using creatine, citrulline, beta-alanine.
Creatine, I agree with. Creatine is an amazing supplement to have. It's hard to get tons of it through food unless you're eating crazy amounts of red meat and beef.
Which again has its own negative side effects as well.
Well, does it though? We can go into that if you want to.
Well, we've only got 5 minutes left, so you better hurry up.
Creatine monohydrate should be pure creatine. Obviously, its main function would be to fuel the ATP system, which is your main energy source. ATP
explosives, short bouts of energy.
ATP gets broken down to ADP, and in that process, it gives you the boost of energy. The creatine phosphate from the creatine will restore the ADP back to ATP to be reused again. So one, it really will help with your workouts. That little bit, it's no wonder drug. You should have it in your diet. But also one of the best effects from creatine, it really helps brain health, especially for people as they get older. They store less of it.
Well, they just take 5 grams every day, regardless if they train or not.
And that's just for maintenance.
Loading phase and all this is bullshit.
I read that as well.
Money. 5 grams a day. And it's perfectly safe. Unless you've already got stage whatever, kidney failure. Creatine is not going to do any harm.
Just take more, a little bit extra water.
Creatinine levels and muscle.
So what would you then do then eat, Dean? What would you how would you sort of formulate your diet?
How I used to or how I do now?
How would you do it now? Know what you know now.
This is a complete opposite argument as well.
I will continue
another day because I'm just talking purely based for performance.
I actually want to hear about this argument.
From a health perspective, I'm 100% agreeing.
When I was competing like Simon, I tried both, and I found when I was dieting and I bring my carbs down low, not do so much cardio, because the cardio can burn your muscle away. Your whole goal is to hold as much muscle as possible. So I would bring carbs down lower. So the carbs that I do eat, I kept as complex as possible. More sweet potato and stuff is packed with nutrients.
It's more satiating as well.
A lot more sustainable energy levels. It didn't get crashes so much. You're going to, because you're eating every 2-3 hours. But So to have anything that spikes insulin while I was dieting is a no-no to me. Insulin is the main hormone that holds fat. Carbs are going to float you with water. So as much as I could stay away from that, and I was kind of known, one of my best factors on stage was to get readied, rock hard condition. That was one of my benefits, how I was able to win so many. So
at that time, you're taking it very realistically, because your carbs were so low and you're doing, besides weight training, you're doing minimal activity. Mainly. You're on a very, very, very low inflammatory diet. Because
it had to be, because the amount of inflammation I was causing from smashing my body up, not having hardly any good fats in your diet at all. Such a calorie deficit.
That's another argument as well.
So knowing what you know now, would you change your diet if you were competing again?
So to compete again at my age, I'm now 43 and been retired for a while. I don't think I would ever do it. So much stress onto my body to be the best I can be. Because like we said, to be the best athlete is going to take from your health. To be as healthy as you can is going to take. So I try to focus on this nice balance, try and have the best of both. So I just wouldn't put my body through that stress again, because I won't get on stage unless I'm at what I think is my best.
So it's not necessary for you to take your body there, right?
Yeah, exactly. So what I do now, because still a little ego in me, I've downsized. I'm fine with that. But I like to hold some muscle and maintain some strength. So I have some goals set in me that I have to be able to do a 300 kilo lift. I have to be able to run a 10-minute mile.
It's more like maintenance goals, right? Rather than new.
Exactly. But when you've got no goals and nothing for you to push to, setting these standards stops me dropping below. So it still keeps me training to a certain level, if that makes sense. Because if I no longer hit any of those, I get pissed off. It makes me train harder. So to try and keep this balance and health, I do 3-month periods. I still take some gear. I've never been a big taker of gear. Well, at one point when I was pushing at my most, I went up to and I tried 12 to 1,300 milligram a week, 1,300 milligram a week. I felt like shit within 3-4 weeks, and it went in the bin. My average courses would be 800 to 1,000 milligram. I was pushing heavy hard, and that was more than enough. I probably didn't utilize half of that. These days, I use a maximum of 500 milligram a week of sustenance, and I will maintain that for 3 months only, and then I have 3 months off. During the time for 3 months is my phase of trying to stay healthy but hold as much muscle as I can, or look a bit better. So while I'm on 500 milligram of sus a week, I will push my food up, try more to 6 meals, but it ends up being more like 4. And my carbs will be low to moderate. So say average breakfast. This morning I got up, I had smoked salmon, 4 eggs, some avocado, some leads. That was it.
That's it. So you got your main macros in, that's it.
Come to the gym. We're going to train. So before this, the only time I really eat rice now is when I come here. It's convenient. And I had a packet of jasmine rice, which is blood sugar. We're going to get a crash in a minute. We've been on here so long. So it's not the best optimal for health. But I'm going to train. I want to push some glycogen to the muscle. So we say before performance, get some glycogen in there. It's not so bad. To get a little good with a little stress, I'll take that. To get a lot of bad with, I'm not going to. So I weigh everything out. And I had that with some more smoked salmon. Like I say, I'll eat probably 4 meals. If the carbs I eat will be either sweet potato, rice, or what I get from vegetables. If I have some rooty, carrots, parsnips, things like that. Because I believe it should be as nutrient-dense as possible. If you're going to eat carb, have it as non-processed as possible. So, as we said, the processing strips it from nutrients.
What about having like fruit around training, like bananas or some complex carbs?
Again, great. So, fruit, is it healthy? Is it bad? A fruit is full of fructose. So, depending on the fruit, how many fructose. Berries and stuff are very low. So, they even go well in a keto diet because they're not going to push you at ketosis.
For the volume of the amount and the ones that you go eat. It's nothing.
Bananas, mangoes, stuff like that, packed with quite a lot of fructose. So fructose is a very different carb. It's not going to spike your insulin at all. So it's not putting stress on your pancreas. Fructose is broken down in the liver. So they're going to put stress on the liver, not the pancreas. So you need to understand of how much good to how much bad. If I'm very healthy, things are running right, that little stress it's going to put onto my liver, bearing in mind your liver is amazing healing.
Yep.
A little stress on the liver compared to all of the nutrients, the vitamins and minerals from different fruits,
You'll be good.
I'm taking that all day. If I'm in bad health or in fat, I got liver problems, you're drinking alcohol, so much stress on the liver.
Yep.
That added stress is not going to help you to get some vitamins that you could be getting from vegetables. Don't do it. So if you're an athlete and you just want to push a bit, get some of those glycogen from the fructose, have some bananas as after training.
Yeah, because they both work on different pathways as well. If you are struggling to reach your carb amount or whatnot, combining a fructose-based carb and a glucose-based carb is a very beneficial thing to do. You'll see that with something that's a bit more fibrous. A lot of people have oats, obviously cream of rice, whatnot. It's not the best. I always opt for oats. That with some sort of fruit as well.
Yeah. I mean, I used to believe oats were really good, complex carb, and then I learned the truth that they're really not. Far from it. I mean, most oats are so processed, it's basically just sugar. You try and get the raw organic oats the best you can.
I was going to say, because when you go into stores now, there's like chocolate flavored porridges, protein porridges, you know, apple, like all these like different flavored oats. So that's the ones you stay away from, right?
It's all
Tastes
Just
nice.
wanna
Look at
get-
Ready. Remember Ready Break? That's pure sugar.
It's like powder in it. Yeah.
Yeah, so you ideally want to go for those pure, like in those
Organic,
boring
the big-
packages,
big
come in
jumbo
2
oats.
kilos. Yeah.
Flatlands, Irish organic oats are the one.
You got to cook it a lot longer.
Yeah.
But there's more benefit to it, and it's going to stress your body a lot less. So when I was bodybuilding, I'd have that. Some chopped bananas, some strawberries, load of mixed nuts to put the calories.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So quick recap. I do 3 months on that bit of gear, push my foods up. It's just loads of good fats, proteins, tons of vegetables to get as much nutrient. Everything I eat has to be nutritionally dense. Oysters, liver, lots of steak, lots of salmon, fatty fish. I don't eat much chicken now. It's very high in omega-6.
Yeah.
And it's going to push all the inflammation up.
Pretty much an empty protein source, really. Again,
It's shit compared to red meat or fish.
Yeah.
And most of it...
Off from Caspian. I probably just
support local.
once or twice a week, if that.
Yeah.
We'll do another podcast on the bad oils in that. Want it to stew money?
I'll do nothing.
Sunflower oils.
He's going to be 6 stone the next time we see him.
It does sound like a limited food a lot, but there's so many different meals you can make from those limited foods. And there's so many different vegetables of sour cream.
You can give us some recipes on the next time.
Definitely.
So we'll have to wrap this up because we have gone over. Thanks for coming on. I think we definitely need part 2, part 3, part 4. Because we've only scratched the surface really today. I mean, we sort of took our time to get into
It's an introduction as well to Dean.
Yeah. So thanks for watching. If any of you viewers got any questions for Dean, abusive or non-abusive, nutritionally, put them in the comments below, or questions for any of us. We'll definitely get Dean on. Try to get him on next week or in a future podcast. Would like to hear your thoughts. Dean, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Dean.
Abusive comments are very welcome and they're more entertaining, so please send.
And don't forget, you can join Dean's Legion site for £10 a month for things. So I'll put the links below in the description box.
It's going to upset a lot of prep coaches, isn't it? £10 a month to be your prep coach.
You should increase your price.
12.
Anyway, okay, thanks for watching. Don't forget, like, subscribe, and we'll see you next week.